everyone, and thank you for joining the Transformational Storytellers show. So excited to be here with you. Let me tell you about our guest today. Her name is Stephanie Shaffer, and she is the founder of Broken at Just Heal, and she extends heartfelt guidance to navigate grief and loss. Raise your hand if you have ever had to navigate grief and loss. I think that we're going to raise both hands. That's right.
Yeah.
And she also helps individuals like you and I to find peace. As an esteemed international speaker, Stephanie shares her professional expertise and personal resilience, living with a rare birth defect. We're going to be talking about that, and surviving a 45-minute cardiac arrest. Welcome, Stephanie. Oh my goodness, that's a lot.
It is a lot. Thank you so much for having me, Elena. I so appreciate it. It is a lot.
Yeah. Oh
Mm.
my goodness. Well, that's what this show is all about. So we're gonna start with that. We're gonna start with asking you to please share your transformational story with our audience. Because you're one of the authors of The Gifts of Pain. You're in volume one, the very first one.
Yeah, the original.
The OG.
The OG. That's right.
And why don't you share that with our audience so they get to know one piece of everything that you have been through that has led you where you are.
I was born with a rare vascular condition, and I knew having a child was going to be risky. And actually, it's my son's 18th birthday today. So he was, yeah, I have an adult. I have an 18-year-old. So day 12 after he was born, my heart stopped and I went into cardiac arrest. And I knew in that moment where I could hear the alarms going off, I could hear the trauma surgeon saying she's losing lots of blood, we need to start CPR. I felt two chest compressions and I had a conversation with myself. And that conversation was, Steph, if you fight this, you're not going to win. You need to let go and surrender. And I knew I had to do that. So the message is, I feel like we're in a culture where it's resilience and fight and be strong and persevere. And all of that is true, all of that. And I absolutely know we need resilience. We need the ability just to take that next step. But sometimes the best thing we can do to be resilient is to let go, is to surrender, is to pause. I didn't even know how defeated, how depleted I was until after I came back from my 4-hour surgery. And even though I was recovering in the hospital, I was in the hospital for a total of 7 weeks, 7 weeks, one day. So after that cardiac arrest, I had total organ failure. Everything in my body failed except for my brain. So I was on dialysis. My kidneys failed. I became a diabetic. My heart failed. I was in congestive heart failure. I was getting blood clots in my lungs and I was getting septic. Like there were so many things that could have taken my life, just sepsis alone, an infection. And I didn't know how the moment of my cardiac arrest where I felt those chest compressions, that was not the most difficult thing. The most difficult thing with all those physical aspects going on, and I mean just limp, just in the hospital bed, just opening my eyes was an accomplishment. Was just it was a chore opening my eyes. And then having to eat, trying to eat to get my strength back. But with all those physical aspects, the most difficult thing was being separated from my baby.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I mean, let's
Yep.
with you being in bliss of baby being born, being separated from a baby is traumatic enough.
It was
It-
horrible.
oh my goodness. I mean, for all of you who are watching, this is heavy, I know. And that's exactly why I think this is such an important story to tell. And it is important that we know these details, because that is the power that we have as humans to go through these events and to get a piece of wisdom, simple step, a nugget that can help others do the same. And for me, storytelling is everything.
Mm-hmm. It
It
is. It
it
is.
it is my number one passion and mission, and everything that I've been doing since since I can remember, but definitely officially since I was 5 years old. Why do you think this is important?
I was reflecting on this and what working with you with this on this project was, when I tell my story, it's like it started from the day I was born, being born with a rare vascular condition. And, I'm 49 years old. And when this event happened, I was 31 years old. So there's a long story, and just the process of, I mean, I grieved for 2 years before I had a baby because I was told it's not safe. So I grieved for 2 years, and all I ever wanted in my life was to be a mother. And what you led us through in the gifts of pain, the skill that you have to teach us to condense it, to take this long story that we have, this lifelong journey, and just condense and really pause and think about, how do I feel,
Mm,
to really tap into that. What is this emotion?
mm,
What is the most important things I want to share? What are the nuggets that people can relate to, that
yeah.
people can identify with, but to condense it down 300 words? And I remember, you just guiding us through it and saying, you know, look at the filler words. Do you need those filler words? And what is one word that can describe those 5 words?
Yeah.
So it's a pausing, it's a slowing down, it's a going inward,
Mm,
and really feeling what to connect with. What am I feeling? And what does my voice want to say to the world?
mm,
What do I want to share? And in this process, the reflection of realizing how incredibly strong and resilient I am, and that we are. And I can't tell you how many times when I read my story, when I tell my story, when I see it, watching it, me tell my story, there's so many times, because there's other things that happen in life to us, that I'm learning from my own words.
wow. Yeah.
I'm getting a reminder.
Mm,
I'm like, wow, like, okay, I'm being reminded that, Steph, sometimes you got to surrender. Sometimes you got to let go. Sometimes you got to say, let it be.
mm,
Sometimes you got to remind yourself, like, I can't fight harder than that person needs to fight. To set that boundary, to set that separation of, I can't care more than fill in the blank
yeah.
than the person who should be caring about it,
Yeah. Oh my
you
God.
know?
Yeah, as coaches and teachers and transformational guides, we definitely need to set that boundary. But I want to, say that I have watched you on stage sharing this story, and you bring so much passion and authenticity to
Mm.
everything you share. Because, the Gifts of Pain wasn't the first time we worked together. But it was definitely a longer story to tell. But
Yes.
I love when you share on the stage, because Stephanie is not only an author, but she's also a speaker, how all eyes are on you.
Mm.
And you are able to not only write that and put it in paper and put it in a book, but the way in which you deliver it is so believable. And of course, it's true, but some things are true and not believable because where the person is far removed from that. So when you shared now that you're using your story to remind yourself of the journey that you've been through, to guide you through the journey that you're being through now, that is a light bulb moment that I want everybody to write that down, because it's true. We can use the teachings of our story to continue to teach ourselves. And I think
Mhm.
that's why you bring so much authenticity to the stage. And of course, you're a very magnetic speaker.
Mhm.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah, it was a joy to see you in action in person. But besides that charisma that you have in sharing your story, there's that underlining sense of, I am being in integrity with what I'm sharing today. And that really is something that I admire from you.
Oh, thank you. I really, being authentic is something that I had to come to terms with as a young child. My leg is deformed. I am deformed. My leg is purple. It does not look pretty. It's a major insecurity that I've had to really work with as a young adult. And, even to this day, put on a bathing suit and it's like, yeah, I'm going to be stared at. I'm going to be looked at. I understand people are curious, but I couldn't hide it. It
Mhm.
is me. And
Yeah.
I just, it's part of my personality too, of just being authentic, being honest, being real. That's a rarity.
Yeah.
And we can't come to our best selves, our best version of ourselves, if we don't embrace all aspects of us.
So I'm gonna pause there because I know, some of the things that you've been through, and I know that you didn't start out this way, that there was actually a moment in which you thought life was not worth living anymore because of that deformity, because of
Yeah.
bullying that you received, appearance related bullying, but also your sense of not belonging. And so if I'm feeling insecure about something about myself that I cannot embrace about myself, what is one step that I could take to start accepting myself like you have come to accept your leg and maybe other things that you were insecure about? I mean, I have a long list, so I'm sure you had something
Oh, yes.
going on, because especially as women, we are sold these standards of beauty or
Hmm.
so-called beauty out there. And so I'm really interested to know how you came to embrace your leg, to embrace who you are and all of it, and to be unapologetic about who you are and authentic.
What I did was I I embraced my leg because I really truly believe it's made me who I am. It's made me humble. It's made me empathetic. It's given me the ability, the gift of being able to step into someone else's shoes. So when I see someone in a wheelchair, I can step in and really contemplate, how difficult it must be just for them to get dressed for the day. When I see somebody walking with a walker, how difficult, and just the resilience and the perseverance that that person has. But it's humbled me, and it shows me that everyone has a struggle. We all have struggles. We all have insecurities. It's a human condition. And having my leg taught me this at a very young age. And people have asked me if I had the ability to just boom, like make it go away, my vascular problem, my physical pain, my physical deformities, would I make it go away? The answer is no. It has made me who I am. I have a huge heart, and I wouldn't change my huge heart for anything.
I know you do. Absolutely.
Yeah, I wouldn't change that. I wouldn't change. I love the person who I am today. And I know my physical deformities, my birth defect absolutely influenced, absolutely huge ways of who I am today. And I love who I am today because of my heart.
Yes. Well, we love who you are today. I know I love who you are today 100%, maybe 110%.
Aw, I
Yes.
love you too. You know that.
Yes, of course, I feel it. I really love that you're sharing about this because it is really a journey for everyone to accept and to embrace. And I think the way that you connected your authenticity on the stage and in the stories that you write to loving your whole self, it's really key because anything that we want to do, we would be serving ourselves and the world if we do it authentically. But
Mm,
until we accept every little bit about ourselves and especially our struggles, we won't be able to get there. So thank you for bringing that up and for beautifully illustrating it for our audience. Now,
mm,
my
yeah.
next question is going to be because you mentioned you're a licensed social worker, you are also very, very amazing speaker.
Mm.
You're an author and you have so much going on, but I want you to, in your words, share with our viewers today, what is it that you love most about the work that you do in the world, and what are you focused on right now so that they know they can work with you, they can learn more about what you're doing and get connected to all of the resources that you have available.
I am working on a lot. I'm launching from doing individual one-on-one grief work because I want to launch and help other people. I want to help grievers around the world find peace with their loss. Full disclosure, my husband died 6 months ago, and I'm learning to navigate life really up close and personal with grief. And I've been helping grievers for over 20 years adjust to their loss. And I'm building a whole nother business avenue, Be Resilient Institute. And underneath that Be Resilient Institute is going to be retreats and workshops and a membership and speaking engagements because I want to help grievers around the world. I know with my framework that I've developed, the Adjust Grief model, I have seen people be able to find peace. You were talking about that word accept, and I always encourage people to think of the word adjust. It's a continual adjustment. That's what grief is. It's a continual adjustment. It's not something that we can, like, oh, I'm done with that. Like, all done. No, it's a lifelong journey. And I want to help other people go through that journey. But I want to help thousands a day, not just my 6 or 8 people for the day that I work with. So that's where I'm headed. And I have my podcast coming, Broken, Adjust, Heal. And there's just been a lot of all of that Be Resilient Institute. I had to put that on pause as I nurtured my husband to passing away from his cancer. So that was all supposed to happen. And you know what? It's just a continual adjustment. I'm not worried about the time frame. It's an adjustment. And there's some days I can do that. And there's other days that I just have to say tomorrow. So that's all coming down the pike. And the best way to stay in touch with what is happening and what I'm doing is to find me on Instagram at I am Steph Shaffer. I am Steph Shaffer. Find me there because you'll see people will be able to find there what's happening in upcoming events and all that good stuff that I'm super excited about. I just want
Wow.
to help as many people as I can. That's where I'm at. Find peace with their loss.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about it, and we'll have your information in the show notes for everyone
Awesome.
to to access. But before we go, I wanted to ask you, what is one step that someone who is grieving right now, someone who's experiencing a loss, and they find themselves not at peace about it,
Mhm.
they find themselves struggling with it, they find,
Broken.
yeah. So what is one step that they can take right now to begin a journey of healing where they can find that peace that you're talking about? Because it sounds really great,
Mhm.
but sometimes it sounds impossible. Sometimes it sounds
Absolutely.
unreachable. So what is one tiny thing that maybe can start to get us there? If you could share that with our audience, we will owe you big.
That's a simple answer, and it's very difficult for people to do. Okay. Number one thing, this is what I'm teaching people the first time I meet with them. We have to speak to ourselves the way we do our best friend. We are our constant companion. We have to watch our self talk. And the things that we say to ourselves, like I'll hear, I'm a wreck. I'm a mess. I'm a hot mess. No, we can't be. We would never tell our best friend, you're a hot mess, right? We wouldn't. They
I
lost their
know.
husband, they lost their child, whatever the situation is, horrible things, horrible life events. And they're calling themselves a hot mess? No, no. What would you say to your best friend? You would say, you're devastated. You're heartbroken. Cry. This is normal. Be devastated. If all you can do is sit on the couch and under a blanket and put the fire on and cry, be there. Watch the self talk. Speak to yourself as you would your best friend. Give yourself that grace, that nurturing, that caring, that love, and yes, you're grabbing your heart. Like, yes, we have to be kind to ourselves. That's it. And it's so simple, and yet it's so hard for people to do. And I'm grateful that I've been on that journey of improved and compassionate and loving self-talk. I've been on that journey for over 10 years. And so at this point, it's very natural for me with losing my husband. It's very natural with me. And I can just give myself that grace, that compassion, that permission to be devastated, to normalize that.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, that's such a powerful takeaway. And I know it's hard, but it's also very practical. So,
Mhm.
so they know exactly what to do. And I want to add that it might not be automatic, but we can catch ourselves and try again.
Oh, yeah, we catch ourselves, and it's about catching ourselves every single time. And if you have to catch yourself 10 times in 1 minute, that's okay. That's okay. That's where I had to start.
Yeah,
And now
same.
it's just a knee-jerk reaction. It's automatic for me. But I had to start with resetting, pausing, asking myself, wait a minute, what would I say to my best friend? And then applying that.
Yeah. So we can all give ourselves 20 years if we are just starting before
That's
it
right. We
before
all
it
have to start somewhere, sister.
before it becomes automatic. I love that. Well, thank you, Steph,
Oh, my
for your
pleasure.
amazing
Thank you.
day. I love that we had this conversation and that I got to share you with all of the people in my audience. They're your audience now too. Make sure that
Oh.
you the show notes to connect with Stephanie Shaffer. You're gonna love her content and her heart. Like she said, I can vouch for that. Thank you, everybody. I will see you
Thank you.
next week in the Transformational Storytellers show.
Awesome.
Mwah, big hug.
Mwah. Thank you. Love you.
Love you too.